Hey, good morning, everyone. How you doing today? We are going to be opening the spring box that already came from Archer and Olive. This was a part of their spring collection, and it came really, really fast this time. I was honestly very surprised how quickly that it came. But what I got was the stamps. I did get a notebook. We'll take a quick look at that. I just got that for my daughter because I know that she likes that style. She's really big into that mushrooms, the cottage core aesthetic, I believe is what it's called. And I feel like this collection was very much that. There's definitely a cottage core look to it. We'll take a look through that. I've not seen that before. So the main thing we got were the two stamp sets that came a part of this collection. And then we also got the notebook. We'll take a real quick look at that. Hey, good morning, everyone. Hey, what's up, Matt? How's it going? Good late evening to you, sir. Thanks for joining and hanging out for this one. So let's go ahead first. Let's take a look at the notebook, just because this is not the main reason that we're here today. But for anyone who did get anything from the spring collection, it's crazy how quickly this thing came. I feel like we literally were just talking about this collection. Well, it was last Friday, just a week ago. So really quick shipping on this one. So this one I got the square mushroom monarch. This probably was definitely of all of the different pieces a part of this collection was one of my favorites. I personally didn't get any notebooks this time around. I have plenty, but really excited for my daughter for this one. So it had this really cool little mushroom froggy deal on it. Really cool, like green color as well. I got the square. I love square, but I was mostly thinking for her as a sketchbook. She's been doing a lot of different sketching. She was really big into pixel art for a while, and squares and 5mm dark grids work well. Had a really cool inset cover. Really love this one as well. And then just dark grid paper for her inside of that. So that was the notebook. The stamps, though, are what I was most excited for. I'm always excited for their stamps. I think they do a really good job. What I love so much about stamps, especially with bullet journaling, is that I feel like they already kind of come as a theme, right? They're already in a collection. You don't have to pick and choose what different ones you pick and pull together. It's kind of already done for you. It works out well. All right. Marks your daughter for introducing you to the term cottage core. Yeah, I'm assuming that's kind of what she's into. I don't know if you're into a lot of like the mushrooms and kind of the foresty kind of stuff. I feel like that's cottage core, right? I don't know. I might be using that word wrong. Yeah, nice green cover on that one, Matt. Again, I think of all of them, it was my favorite. I've definitely heard some feedback on the other colors from the notebooks that they look very poo brown is the common description for them. So, went with what we had. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at this one first. This one is the Mushroom Monarch. So this goes along with the notebook that I got. Again, of all the different themes in that collection, the Mushroom Monarch was definitely my favorite. So inside of all of their stamp containers, you're going to get a permanent black ink. You're going to get one of their acrylic blocks, which is necessary for these clear sticky stamps. And then we have the stamps here. What I loved about this one, definitely all of the different type of mushrooms and just kind of like what's going on here. I'm a really big fan of any type of like container. So whenever I'm thinking about getting stamps for myself, I like the decoration of them, but I also like to think about functionality with them as well. So anytime I see something with like an opening like this, for instance, I think, well, I could put a date inside of there. If I see something like this little container here, you could write things inside of here. Here's a great example, write the day of the week inside of here. So utilizing these in different ways is more than just from a decorative standpoint. So you'll see that a lot of these pieces that I'll be using today, I'll be using both decoratively, but also functionally as a way to include them. And I know a lot of people are like, how do I use stamps inside of my bullet journal or inside of my planners? So that's exactly what we're going to do today. Hey, what's going on, Julia? Cooking breakfast while I'm listening, peeking over. I appreciate it. Hopefully this is a really good way to start your day. What's for breakfast, by the way? Very curious. I had some tailored ham and an egg sandwich, which filled me up perfectly, and a nice caramel latte, iced, of course. How else would I ever enjoy a latte if it wasn't? All right, so this was the Beneath the Willows. So while I wasn't a giant fan of the notebook designs for this necessarily, I was a really big fan of some of the elements. So the swallows that were on here is a good example. I actually didn't dislike that notebook. I think I came across saying like I didn't really love it, but honestly, I thought it was nice. You know, nothing amazing about it necessarily, but from an icon, a visual, I really loved the way they looked. Even with the willows and stuff like that, while I didn't love the swan necessarily with like all of the elements, I really think that them individually, right? Pulling just the swan out, pulling just the pussy willows out, pulling just I forget the name. Someone mentioned the name of the leaves of this tree, right? That was hanging over. These are all elements that you can use well. And I also love doing the radial stamp patterns. Maybe we'll do that on a future live as well, and showing you how to create some art with stamps as well. You know, a lot of these elements lend themselves really well to that. Again, speaking to open containers and how we're utilizing those, I absolutely love the banner of this one. This is going to be something we're actually going to definitely use today for titles, for headers, to kind of pull out pieces, things like that. Even the larger pond area here, the lily pad, right? These are all things you can put on your page as a really nice way to like put in a date or day of the week or something like that. The sparrows are going to look amazing. I'm going to use them along with this banner. They remind me very much of like tattoos, right? You see those sparrows holding onto banners and things like that. So a lot of those elements are the reason that I got this kit as well. So we've got that. Emily also is curious about stamp storage. Oh, my friend, I have a stamp storage solution for you. I won't do it today, but I have it. I did an entire studio tour video not that long ago. If you want to take a look at that one, I talk a little bit more in depth about it. So I'm going to go ahead and stick the acrylic blocks and the stamp pads just off to the side. One of my complaints about buying the stamp sets from Archer and Olive now is that all of them come with an acrylic block and a black stamp set, which if you're new to stamping, an amazing addition, right? Like you have everything you need to get started. But for someone like myself, I already have a bunch of these, not just the Archer and Olive ink pads, but also a bunch of the acrylic blocks. I actually have them all lined up over here on my art cart, right? So many, but we'll be using these today as we go through. I also, just real quick, I do want to talk a little bit about stamping, especially if you're new to it. We'll be using these stamps in that example. I don't personally love the Archer and Olive kits, and I'll show you why in just a few minutes as we go through with it. But I have some others that I am going to kind of show you that I do like. Ranger makes a really nice archival ink. This is something that you can use to actually paint over if you want to, because it's a waterproof ink. VersaFine is most definitely 100% my favorite ink pads to use. It is beautiful for the fine details, especially with a lot of these finer details that we see inside of here. I use this one probably the most, and also the VersaFine Clair just for a little bit of color. I have a bunch of other ones too, you know, that I can use, but I'm not going to use them necessarily today. But even Archer and Olive in their last subscription box came out with a really cool metal ink pad. These are all have shimmer on them, which are really cool. We have a lot of options. So let's go ahead and just test some stuff out real quick. That sounds good for you. If you're new to stamping, this will be a little bit of an education for you. And if you're already used to stamping, we're just going to talk about some of my favorite pieces. Matt said in the chat that the swallows remind him of the Sailor Jerry style tattoos. I 100% agree. It's exactly what I thought about when I saw those too. Great minds thinking alike this morning. All right, I just have a really big pad. This is just kind of like a junk journal for me, really, more than anything. It's just a place for me to do swatches. A very inexpensive pad, likely will bleed through the paper. It's just that kind of deal. All right, so if you are brand new and you're just getting your first stamp set, the acrylic block is what holds on to these clear stamps. Almost all of them, and I just bit off my fingernails because I was nervous about something the other day, so I don't have them for this, has this little tiny piece of plastic sticking to here. So your acrylic blocks, for the most part, are going to be completely clear. So you're going to want to just peel that off so you have full access and view of everything that's on your page. There are other stamp pads that exist. I'm going to see if I can find one real quickly while I'm also talking. Here we go. That have grids on them. So this is super helpful, especially if you're using any type of lettering or you want to make sure that things are going on straight. You can put them onto these pads and it helps you line things up as well. So just know there's a lot of different options, a lot of different sizes with the acrylic blocks, but these are absolutely necessary when using these type of stamps. You'll hear them called clear stamps, cling stamps, things along that line. You need to have them. The ink, equally as important, especially if you are getting into it, is finding a good ink that you like. I think that you should most certainly experiment with different type of ink pads because they all do work differently. And this is something that I've learned over time as well, is not everything is the same. And you're going to find things that you like and you're going to add things to your collection that you might never use again. So we'll do that. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to grab this, and you know what, I'm going to grab our frog on the toadstool here because he's nice and big. And I think it's a really good example of a little bit of everything, of having something that has more solid colors, that has finer outlines, and we'll get an idea of what this looks like with the different types of inks. So the Arch and Olive pads, again, I'm not saying that they're bad quality necessarily, but what I have found is that their ink pads tend to be a little bit more wet, inkier. They cover more space. They don't necessarily do a great job with like all the fine lines. So one tip that I've learned from the community is instead of taking your stamp and pressing it onto your pad, is to take your pad and you want to press that onto your stamp. This allows for some control. I'm doing a bad job by getting it kind of all on the sides, but this is also the reality of using stamps. You do want to make sure that the flat side is what's sticking to this. It's really important. I have plenty of times accidentally put the flat side facing out. You stamp it down and you just get like a shadow of what it is. You're going to take that down, give a nice even pressure, and press it out. So this works nicely. Again, I'm not saying that Archer and Olive ink is always bad, but I personally just not a huge fan. It also stays wet for a while, so you do have to be careful, especially around the edges, but you do get a really nice, like, good print. I'm going to grab one of my ink rags that I use for fountain pens and for stamping. And I'm just going to wipe off this excess that's on here because I don't want that to get all over my hands and then all over onto my paper. The other thing a lot of people ask about is how do I clean my clear stamps? This is something that I have just fallen in love with. There's a lot of different options. This is from Crafter's Companion. It's a stamp cleaner. It's two-sided. One side here is for the clean side. I actually need to clean the clean side and rinse it off. I've used it a lot. And then you have a dry side. And so what you do is you get different types of cleaner. This is a water-based stamp cleaner from Ranger as well. It's also bubblegum scented. Not that that makes a difference at all. All you do is you spray the one side of your cleaning pad, and all of these little bristles in here do a really great job of cleaning your stamp. Now, that was a lot of ink, and that's a crap ton of ink on there. My goodness. But we just wipe it there, and then you wipe it on the clean side, which is getting dirty as well, and then you have a nice clean stamp. Let me grab my other options for you. There's a smaller version of this that I like too. This is just a block scrubber, and this is also called a stamp chamois. So similar to like ShamWow, it just has to be wet with water. I don't know that I have any water over here today, unfortunately. Oh no, I have a little bit left inside of here. You just wet this a little bit, and then it kind of uncrinkles, and then you can use this over and over and over again to clean your stamps. The problem is that until it soaks through, it can run off a little bit as it's done a little bit off screen here. So let's just get rid of that, right? And this actually works really well. Before I found out about the pad and like these other things like that, this is what I use all the time, as you can see on here. I just don't want to get water all over my notebooks. One of the bad things about paper crafts, water is what you need to clean things, but it's not your friend when you're trying to work around it. So you can use these as well, and these work really, really well. Dagger said that reminds me of your brother's video. Oh my gosh, yeah. He hit me hard when I was like, this is the dry, clean side. And he was like, you aren't that clean. It just gets dirty really easily. That's where you're putting stuff. Julia was saying that Ranger also has a cleaner for their archival inks and a scrubby thingy, but your scrubby thingy is nicer with 2 parts. Promise that you're not sponsored, just love their products. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. I love talking about just good products, regardless of if you're affiliated with them or not. I mean, it's nice to be affiliated, but also at the same time. So as you can see, as we've been working around this, you'll see that this is why I'm not a big fan of their ink necessarily. A lot of smudging, stuff was moving around. I don't even know if I was even touching it, to be honest with you. So you do have to be careful of that. VersaFine ink, on the other hand, I'm just more used to it. I like the way it works, and I think it covers nicely. Even just right now, right as I just dabbed it on top with the Archer and Olive ink, you saw that I got all inside these crevices. It was just like using too much ink. This one, you're going to get a really nice print as well, right? So it looks very similar, maybe not as dark necessarily, but it dries really fast. It's really nice and easy to clean. I wish I could show you like the opposite side of this, because this is how much ink the Archer and Olive left on the stamp after we stamped it, whereas this really not a lot on here. I'm going to spray this on the other side. It just lays down too much ink. That's the reality of it. There we go. So we'll clean that off over here, and then we're good to use it another day. All right. So this one, been here for a few minutes and we're already good. This one has been on here longer, and you can even see now that it is still wet. So personal preference there, not a huge ding to Archer and Olive, but I feel like they could maybe do a better job with that one personally. And then real quick, I'll just show you Rangers, because I think it's a really good example of this as well. Really nice big ink pad, works really well. Just as Julia said, she's a big Ranger fan. When it's good, it's good. And people use Ranger all the time for card making and everything else. I really love their stuff. There we go. So again, a really nice ink print. Does not leave a lot of ink on your stamp after you use it. And then we can clean it off really nice and easily. Right? And then we're good to go there. So when you're looking around, there's definitely some options, and see where all of these are available. I just get these off of Amazon. I do have an Amazon shop, like a curated list for stamps, if you're interested in checking that out. And I also put the Crafter's Companion on there too. I saw Emily just ask, where do I get that cleaning pad? I got it off of Amazon. Erin Smith is actually the one who recommended this to me, and I really appreciate her doing that. If you haven't checked out her YouTube as well. All right, so let's go ahead and get started and start setting stuff up inside of here and figure out what we're going to do with our week inside of our bullet journal. So the other great thing, obviously, is that you can use these inks and you can use these stamps inside of your bullet journal. I'm going to say make sure that you are just careful about the type of paper that you have and that you're using. It does make a difference. If you're using something thinner, 80 GSM or less, there is a likelihood, more than likely, you're going to get shading or shadows like through your page regardless. That's just going to happen with thinner paper. But even ink types make a really big difference. And something that I have noticed, and this is just something that I've noticed, especially as a person who uses fountain pens, is that if you ink on one side, when you write on the other side, because that paper does get saturated a little bit with ink, sometimes that ink will bleed through the other side. So you just have to be careful. And same thing, if I stamp on here with one of these stamps and then I write with fountain pen ink and it touches the part where I inked, you get a little bit of like that bleed through that can happen as well. All right, baby dolls, hit that like and support the creator. Hey, I'm all about that. Thank you so much. And Emily, yeah, definitely check out that Amazon link. It's awesome. I think it's fantastic. All righty, so let's go ahead and talk about what we're going to do with our page. So as always, I like to start myself off with a pencil. I like to do a weekly overview, but I'm getting a little bit iffy on it, on if I still want to do that the way that I have been. This week is, a little bit of a loose thing. So I'll tell you why it's a little bit of a loose thing. At work recently, they just offered us up Microsoft Loop, which essentially is like a Confluence, Notion, put into one, and I've been trying to get my whole team on it, so I've been using it more, and because of that, I haven't been putting all of my written notes inside of my journal. Problematic. So I'm thinking I might just start off with just a one-pager for next week, and then we'll kind of play it by ear and go from there. All right, so we have a lot of stamps to choose from. So something that I like to even do before I even get started is think a bit about what I want on my page and where I might want it and how I might want to use it. So I think the big thing for me is going to be using these over here. So the swallows and the banner kind of for that intro to the week. So I'm going to go ahead and just peel the back off a little bit. You can take the whole back off if you want, but my problem is that I will lose this little sheet of paper at my house. Like it's clear, it just goes and you'll never see it again. Just falls onto the floor or something. And then that's the end of the day. So we'll probably do something like this here. What I want to do, especially as you are placing these on here, actually something really important, is to make sure that it is the flat side that's facing up, especially as you're planning. So a really good example here is that I just placed all of those down facing the wrong way. So that would have made a mistake. So I can put these swallows here on the page if I want to, as like a big header for the week, right? Just put, the month, or whatever I want inside of there. And I'll start to kind of build around these because I know that I want these on the page, but I don't want to think about them secondarily because that will be problematic. So let's go ahead and we'll use the top part here for a little mix of capacity, which I always do for my team anyway, and also just kind of like the overview. So this will actually be for kicking off March, which will be really nice, actually, I think, and work out really well. So we'll do that there at the top. I don't think I want to use anything else on here because honestly, I want to use a lot more of the mushrooms and the little froggy deals from here as well. So we've got that, and I'm just going to write in just capacity up here for right now, really lightly, because I'll just know like this is where I'll put the capacity for the week and go from there. And then everything under here is kind of focusing on a handful of other things. I think I do want to do a weekly overview, but I'm just not sure if I really want to use the space for it. I think kind of having notes and tasks might be one way to do it. Or maybe I could split out this section here, just do like a real small thing, just to kind of bring out like big notes or big meetings and things like that that I want to pay attention to. Maybe I'll do that instead. And then I'll use the rest of the space down here for notes and tasks. And then I'll leave this page open. If I need the extra space, I'll use it. If not, then I just won't use it. William's asking, do you know when my bullet journal will be back in stock? Unfortunately, I don't. When they did the spring collection, they did put a handful of them back. They must have found a few. I have, as of now, and this is just being very open and honest with you all, no one's contacted me for doing a rerun of my journals or even working with them for their next professional collection. And that's okay. I mean, they most certainly want to mix it up and go with different people for it, but I don't have any plans as of right now. And their professional collection usually comes out in the summertime, but like when I did my bullet journal with them, I started on that in like January with them, and they even said that that was late for them. So my guess is going to be that they already have something in planned. So it is what it is. I'm hoping to be able to do something with them again, William. It would be my dream. I loved doing this notebook together with them, but nothing else is happening. All right, so I made a little bit of a mistake here. I'm realizing as I'm doing this is I mark the center of the page, but I don't need the center of the page because I'm going to do these for, it's going to be 6, it's going to end up being 6 boxes just because I like everything to be nice and even. So I have these smart marks on here that I did design inside of my notebook for this reason, is to easily be able to find the center and to easily be able to break your pages into thirds. Now, one thing that I will say to you is that to create them easily on here, this has, I believe, 11 squares, and the middle one only has 10 squares or boxes. So that's how it had to break out. So this is 11, this is 10, and this is 11. So one thing that you can do if you want to, this is completely up to you, and I do this often because I like things to be nice and straight, is I will just bring my box in one square. So now everything is 10 squares. There is a little trick also that I talked about last week, I think it is that if you are using my notebook and you want to create them to all be even, you would just put a dash here and then a dash to the right of this one here, and that'll give it, but it has a one square gutter on it essentially. So all depends on how you want your book to look. But losing 2 squares for me, for the sake of consistency, totally worth it. 100% worth it. So we'll just do a small section here for the days of the week instead, and we'll see what happens and kind of go from there. All right. So that'll be the overview. And then what I will do, I think, is I'm just going to split my page in half underneath it here. I'll do it right about here. Ooh, that was dangerous. Look how much lead was out on my pencil. That's asking for a break. And then we'll do tasks over here, and we'll do notes over here. Right. And this is kind of what my weekly will look like. And then what we get to decide on from here is what small elements do we want to use with this. So some of the things that stick out to me right away are certainly like the smaller pieces on here, especially when you're doing like notes and tasks, for instance. So this small little guy over here could work well right here. And then I can write, a title here for notes or tasks. And then typically I try to find something that's similar in size to it. So like this little toadstool deal here is probably the closest. And that could go right here for notes, right? You can kind of put that wherever you want, but that's how it's going to look for me. And then I can write task and I can write notes all across here. And then I have the rest of the space for it. We have a lot of other small pieces here. And what I'm thinking of doing is maybe just having some fun. So a really good thing to do, for instance, with like these type of stamps that kind of go up the page, this is where I start to think a little bit about the beauty of a page, right? Using stamps in a creative way. So we could put this down here in this section if we wanted to. It does cut off some of the space we do have here for the notes. So, I have to be aware of that. And again, more than likely, I will start to use the right-hand side of my page. But just in case I don't, I'm not going to mark anything over here yet. But if I wanted to, I could. Let's just kind of throw that out there, right? All right. And then the rest of the things on here are kind of cool. I'm just trying to think like how I would use them. Something I would really love to use are like these guys here. And I think that they may look cool. Maybe over here, just on the edge. Also, I'm not using this box down here. Oh, I have a better idea. I actually really like this weird looking mushroom here. Let's pull this up. This one here looks very cool. Right? Maybe he's just kind of sticking out over here. We have the space. We'll see. Maybe. This is why I like to lay them down on the page first. It kind of helps me figure out what I potentially want to do to kind of figure it out. Julie is asking who still needs to set up their monthly pages. All of us probably. My brain doesn't even think that far in advance. That's why we're doing this today, friends. Because I'm only thinking about this right now. Okay, so I think that's what we're going to do. I want to see if there's anything off of this collection that we might want to use. But I don't really think that there is. Nothing else can really fit. I mean, this like flower deal could maybe go over there if we wanted it to, but I don't think so. All right, let's just go with this. And we'll have some fun. All right, so the first thing I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to stamp things down first before I put down any of my hard lines. The reason being, something like this guy over here, for instance, he may kind of come over this, and I don't want to put down a black line where this is going to be. So I'll kind of work around it. Same thing with these guys over here and this guy here. So let's have some fun stamping. Stick these off to the side. The other good thing, keep thinking that this is a hair. It's just part of my pencil here. Let's get rid of that so it stops bothering me so much. All right, so let's go ahead and have some fun. All right, so a really cool tip, if you're this type of person, is that the one reason I also like to lay them out on the page like this is because you can pick up more than one stamp at a time to create a composition for yourself. So I don't think I have anything that's long enough to grab all three of these. Look through and see. I might. Ooh, yes, sir, I do. Look at me. So here's just a cool little tip you can do, right? Place everything where you want it to be placed on your sheet. I think he wants to go like this, right? Then you can take one of your acrylic blocks and you can press it down right on top of your stuff. And it will pick all of them up at the same time, right? So everything is in the placement where I want it to be on my page. Really amazing, right? Love that. Probably one of my most favorite tips when using stamps on here is doing this for sure. All right, then we're going to go ahead and we're going to use our ink pad and we're just going to stamp that on here, get everything nice and covered. This is the VersaFine ink that I'm using today. And then for myself, I know that my notebook is uneven because it's still early. So I'm actually going to, maybe this is a good use for all the extra acrylic blocks from Archer and Olive. I'm going to lay them under here almost as a stand because it's really important that you have a really strong foundation under your notebook so you get a nice flat even press. This is really, really important. So we're going to try to line everything up on here as we had it. And then I'm going to go ahead and give it some nice even pressure. And then I'm picking it up and we're pretty good to go. I think it did a good job. I did get a little extra. The page popped up right before, but it almost looks like it's meant to be here, right? Almost. All right, now I can grab one of my smaller blocks because I don't need to use something that big. Actually, I have even smaller blocks that I can use over here. We'll do the similar things. We'll go ahead. We know that's where we want to place it. Not that it's holding our place whatsoever by picking up with this one block. Set that over there. And I'm actually going to save myself a little space. Let's put him on a little sideways. The other good thing, I guess, about having all these blocks is that if you're not reusing stamps, you can just keep them on the blocks that you have and continue on with what you do have. And then you can come back and clean them individually if you want to. The other thing I love about stamps, I don't draw anything. It's just here. It just works. Yes, it might get a little bit messy sometimes, but that's the fun of it, I feel like, is that sometimes it gets messy, and that's okay. All right, so I think we are going to go with him. Oh, I didn't take off the backing of this one. I like to see straight through my blocks. It's the whole point of these. Let's not keep that that frosted cover on there so we can see. All right, we like him, and I think we like him kind of coming off the page a little bit over here. Looks pretty cool, I think. All right, and then we got Big Mama down over here. She's going to finish us off. We're going to move this to get good support underneath this side here because it gets a little iffy, especially on corners. You just got to be, really good about this if you want to. All right. Really nice, good even press. Now, if for whatever reason you mess something up when pressing down a stamp, I will say 99% of the time you're not going to want to go back over top of it because more than likely you're going to still be off a little bit. And that can be problematic, and you'll start to get like it'll look blurry if you don't get it right on. Sometimes, depending, I will go back. Most of the time, though, I really try to stay away from it if I can because it's just not great. All right, since I have so many things over here, this is something else that I like to do. I like to kind of clean as I go. So once I'm done with all of my stamping, I just like to go back over everything and just give it a real quick scrub. So instead of using that other Crafter's Companion that I have, I'll just give everything like a real quick scrub. It's a little sudsy. This is the same stuff that we used inside. It smells great because it smells like bubble gum, but it does leave your stuff a little sudsy. So what I will typically do in this case is after I scrub them with that, also since the other side of mine is disgusting, I'll go ahead and just clean them off again real quick. You can pat them dry. Usually going to recommend for you to pat them dry with microfiber. Paper towel is okay, but just know that sometimes paper towels will leave some little paper flakes, or can leave some like leftovers on your stamp since they are a little bit sticky, and you just want to be careful about it. It's not the end of the world. I've done it plenty, but just one of those things you just want to be aware of. Microfiber is great because it doesn't leave anything extra. All right, I'm gonna try to save some space here real quick, and I'm trying to be a good boy, and I'm trying to just put everything back right away, because otherwise what will happen, and you might all be here with me, is you use your materials and you say, oh, I'm gonna come back to that. I'm gonna clean that off right when I'm done with this next part. And then you don't, and then our stamps stay there for a while, or in my case, fall on the floor, and then my dog chews them up. That just happened the other day. I was a little bit sad about it. So I try to be good and just put things away right away. And for the most part, I do okay. I'm proud of myself for it. I do need to find my big frog. I'm excited to use this more. I really like the elements on this page. I think it looks super neat. So that whole frog deal, I keep forgetting the name of it. There's the top of the box. Put it over here. Mushroom Monarch. This one is sold out though, unfortunately. Just to let you all know that, unfortunately, because it was so popular. It was really cool. But I really like these sparrows too. Again, I like the stamp. I'm not going to necessarily buy the notebook, but I do really like the way this one looks. All right, let's put everyone back the right way. There we go. So those are all of our stamps that we're going to be using today. So now everything from here is just going to be inking everything in. I did bring out some gel pens. So often I use fine liners and things like that. But since these are all in black and white, I thought maybe I could use some color today. And you may say, Mark, this isn't really color. You're picking some pretty bland colors. But guess what? This is the colors that I like. If you like something like this, you, of course, pick your own colors if you'd like to. Figure it out. I'm not really huge on coloring. So, like, that's why me even taking out some of these is a big deal for me. So, I feel like this camel color, this is the Zebra Sarasa Eclipse. This is the vintage. I think this one's called Camel or something like that. It's just one of my favorites. I think it looks so cool. Something else we might do, if we want to, we could take out some click art markers and color some of these in. Maybe thinking about it. We'll see what happens. But let's fill out the rest of this page first. Let's go ahead and use this. We'll have some fun. Having things penciled in is great because I can just kind of work right around it and work really, really quickly because I have it all on here already. I haven't used this pen in a minute, so I do want to make sure that it's actually putting down ink. It is. It's a win. Whenever I work sometimes, this is, again, just a me thing, I like to fill in all the horizontal lines first, and then I'll come back and fill in all the vertical lines afterwards. It's like a weird process thing for me that I'm like, oh, just follow it down the page and you'll be okay. I think also as a lefty, also, using any type of inks, you just want to kind of work and then work away from it. So like usually I should have filled that line in before this line, but luckily this pen dries really fast, so I don't have to worry about it too much. Okay, let's do our vertical here. I'm thinking about maybe bringing in a dip pen with some of these colors on here just to have some fun. I have a ton of ink, so I feel like I want to use it, and I just released the video yesterday for the color verse for the shuttle for the dip pen. That has a really nice fine point on it. And I have some like cool greens and grays and fun, mushroomy colors that I could use. So we'll see what happens. All right. And this is what I was talking about over here in this section, right? I don't want to draw over top of my mushroom. I like to have kind of the boxed outline around it. So this is where kind of that writing in pencil first works out better. Because once I erase all of this, then, you're just going to see just the stamp and the box stopping there, which I think will be really cool. And we'll go ahead and race around the pencil now while we're at it. I'm just trying to read through the chat real quick while I'm doing this. Looks like we're sharing some ideas around different spreads that we're doing, things that we're tracking inside of our bullet journals and our planners. Julia mentioned that the paper towel can leave some of that paper fluffy stuff on your cling stamps. You're absolutely right. And she's also lost stamps and didn't put them back. Yeah, we're all been there. I think it just comes with the territory, right? You're just like, that's why I take care of things right away. It's super important to do so. All right, so for myself here for capacity, if you're not familiar, I keep capacity for my team every single week. And I want this to be centered on the page. However, I'm realizing that I didn't really center the banner when I did this, but I think we will be okay. Let's do about 4. We can make this work, I feel like. If we do 14, 7 is right in the center. 14 is the end. And usually, oops, we get some. So get anything extra. If I see extra marks on my page, I'm assuming, oh, Mark, you meant to put that there, but I did not. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this will get us 12 spots for the week. I usually like to do 14 because I think I have 13 people total on my team. So we'll kind of see. I'm just going to put this in a box, I think, and then I'll just mark it off inside of here. So let's do that. Let's create a quick box, and then I'll put my marks for the week, and then we'll be good to go. And I'm going to leave it open here at the top. I think putting a vertical line, sorry, a horizontal line across that, don't know that I like it very much. And I think I might even not put in a middle one. Just put in our dots here. This is where I'll put the individuals' names as I go through. And I put the dot here as a visual because I'm not going to keep the center line. So essentially it'll just be the person's name and then their capacity number will stay over here on the right-hand side. And then I'll just track through it that way. Like I said, we'll get rid of the center line and I'll just write capacity maybe above that. Okay. All right. So let's get some ink. Oh, no. Didn't I say I was going to use these? Oh, no. I know what I'm doing. Process, Mark. Process. So another reason, like I said, I like versifying is that you can color over top of them. And these are click art markers. If you're not familiar with these, I love, love, love these from Zebra. And they're really nice fine point markers that are retractable. So they stay safe inside of here. And I'm just going to be a little basic. And I'm just going to color in some of these toadstools red. And this is just being like very slight about it. I don't want to overdo it because I think my aesthetic for this week is kind of more minimal in color. But I feel like we have an opportunity here, you know, so like, let's take it. So I'm going to go ahead and try to color the opposite here. I'm going to try to leave the white spots, but with a red mushroom. I think that'll look cool. Black and red play well together. And because the ink is waterproof and because these markers are smudge proof with most inks, it works really well together, and I just appreciate it so much. And if you're not the type of person that usually likes to color stuff in, like me, again, you don't have to color anything in, but sometimes these nice little pops of color can kind of look cool. I'm feeling like I want to color in this guy over here. Oh, I'm having a colorblind moment. I think that's peach. That's not green. I like really have to look at my colors. Oh dear God, is this the color that I want. I think it is. It is, but it is darker than I want it to be. I just want to color in this fern that's over here. So I think I might go for a different color. One of my mild liners. Here's just green. Mild liners are mild, so I feel like, yeah, that's what I'm looking for. I'm feeling like that's what I want more over here. So the fine liner has the brush pen, or you have your bullet. I think I'm just going bullet today because I don't want to mess it up too much, and I can do it kind of quickly. Brush pens are great, though, if you want to like cover large areas of color. So y'all are getting like a very special treat because it is rare that I add color to my stuff. All right. That's all I'm going to do. So I think it's just like these little pops are kind of it for me. I want to kind of color in the sparrows, but I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know what color sparrows are, and I'm not going to attempt to like blend anything. All right. But we are going to have some fun with some inks, though. So what I'll do, I'm going to grab the shuttle. So if you haven't seen the video that I just did on this, this is the Colorverse shuttle. This is a dip pen. So if we undo this, the handle you can buy comes along with it. The shuttle is just this piece alone. And you dip this into ink, which we're going to do. It holds in all of these channels that are on here, and then you can kind of write for long periods of time. The tip also works inside of other holders. So if you have other nib holders, for instance, that look like that, it works with these as well. So it's totally up to you. But I've been keeping it on my shelf on the stand / ink holder because it looks so damn cool. All right, so now we got to figure out what color we want to do. We have so many options behind me. Chat, let me know what you think. Oh, you think they're swallows and not sparrows? Ross, you're probably right. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, but they're birds, and I don't know what color they are. All right, chat, I'm going to leave this one up to you. What color ink do you think would look good for headers? Right, we're going to write notes and tasks. We're going to write the days of the week inside of here. We've got to write the capacity inside of this banner here. Let me know what you think. I'm going to actually pencil in capacity real quick because I'll mess up and not give it enough space if not. There we go. So it'll fit in really nicely. So we have reds and we have greens and obviously the black. So I could go with a darker green color for the ink. I could go with all kinds of stuff. I'm trying to think like a favorite color that I have right now, or a favorite ink or something new that I got recently that I haven't used. Linda's saying a green would look really good. I agree with you. I think a green would look good, but I have to pick what green. That's the hard part. All right, I'm gonna look behind me where I have it. Or brown. Ooh, I don't know if I do definitely have brown. See, the hard part is actually I can do this on my computer while we're talking because I'm not sharing my screen. I have my Airtable that I have all my colors in. Oh, we could do this together on the chat. The problem is I need to make sure that it's actually sharing my screen because if it's not, then that's problematic. Swallows are often dark blue and have a forked tail. Sparrows are basic brown. All right. Well, swallows are dark blue. I mean, I have blue. I can maybe come in. Thanks for letting me know, Ross. I appreciate it. Um, let's do this real quick. Let's see if we can do this real quick. I'm going to share my screen. This is going to go one of two ways. It's going to work really well, or it's not going to work at all. Not going to be able to see the chat while I'm doing this. So I'm just going to kind of filter down. I'm going to filter by colors. So colors I have, what green colors I have, and what brown colors I have. This is why I love, actually, let me do gallery view because this is going to be even better. Between colors is any of brown or green. All right, coming back to the chat. just to make sure we're still showing. We are. Awesome. All right, so these are all the colors that I have to pick from that have those colors in them. Um, and I like having this swatch view here because I get a really good idea of like what I'm looking for. So Festive Grove is a good one that has a little bit of shimmer in it. That looks kind of neat. Gemstone Aeronite, that was from Monteverde, USA. I really like the way that one looks. Then we have some Brunsempia, dark greens. Ooh, Woody Brown. What do y'all think about Woody Brown? That's a really nice, I mean, that's the vibe I feel like what we're looking for. We also have Peter Pan, which is a Wearingal ink, which I really like too. So that has some nice shadowing and some lighter colors inside of there. Leatherwood Honey. This is one I'm like, where I don't remember this. This is a sample color that I have. That's really nice too. See, this is the problem that we have whenever we whenever we do this kind of stuff. All right, I'm gonna come back to the chat. We're gonna see what people have to say. Stop sharing now. I mean, those are a lot of really cool colors there to kind of go with. So I don't know if y'all had any ideas on any of those. I'm kind of leaning towards that Brunsempia brown color. Looked really nice. Linda, if it's happening, it could be my internet connection. If it's not running great right now, sometimes it gets a little choppy. All righty. Oh, things are better. Okay. It definitely is me. And it cuts out for a second too. I'm sorry. I didn't give myself enough time between when I switched from sharing my screen to coming back. It gets a little iffy. All right. Well, we have to find the ink. So let me go ahead and just turn around real quick. This is one thing about having things behind me that's problematic, and find an ink that we really like there, because there were definitely a lot of really nice ones. All right. I can't find the Brunsempia one, but I did find Peter Pan really easily. And I don't want to leave you all hanging for too long, because that was definitely in there. Woody Brown was your favorite? Which one was that? Oh, Woody Brown. Oh, the Ruffno one. Yeah, that one was good too. You're right. You're right. Oh, I found that one. Let's do that. Woody Brown. That was an easy one to find. I need to start. I got to reorganize my inks so I can find them, because some of those I wasn't able to find. That would have been bad. Woody Brown, the dark pretty brown. Okay. We've all made a joint decision that that's what we're going with. I don't want to delay it much longer for y'all. I'm still getting used to the live streams, and I'm still trying to think about like how people experience those. You know, I'm so used to doing regular videos where it's like you don't leave any blank spots for thought process. You don't leave anything like that where people aren't being entertained. So I'm still like, I don't want to leave you hanging while I'm looking for an ink somewhere, and no sound is happening. So I appreciate your patience with me. All right, so this is called Woody Brown. Y'all decided. So just to show you how this, we're talking about the shuttle. You just dip it into your ink. You'll see all of the ink gathers here. And then what's really cool about this pen is that depending on the angle that you write with, the fineness or the thickness of it will be different. So if I write kind of more facing up, you're going to see that it writes with more of a fine point. But then if I put it a bit more on an angle, you'll see that we get thicker lines, which is really nice. And then what's also cool with this pen is you can do like swatches with it as well, which is really cool. So I can really appreciate that. So, depending on the space that I have, I might have to write, my days of the week really, up like that. And then when I have maybe more space, like when I'm writing tasks, I can give it a little bit more space because we have more. Awesome. This is why I love doing this together. This makes me feel really good because I feel like I'm making decisions with others, especially when I'm being indecisive. I will eventually make a decision, no doubt about it, because I'm all about making decisions. But, when we've got a group of people that know better than I do, I'm going to trust you more than I'm going to trust myself. That's for darn sure. All right. Ooh, I get nervous with leaving my ink just like on top of my notebook like that. Okay. So let's go ahead. We're going to fill. We're going to start top down. I'm a lefty. I also don't want to smear across the page. So let's start with capacity first. All right. This will all be open for the day for the people on my team and where their capacity actually falls. And then up here, I'm just going to write the days of the week. Monday. Tuesday, Wednesday. And I'm only going to do till Friday. I don't use my bullet journal really on the weekends, so this will just stay over here. All right, and then we got to write down task and notes. So, oh my gosh, I just realized how close my finger was to Friday. Like I almost touched that wet ink with my finger. I would have cried. We did really well on this. We didn't make any major mistakes, which is okay if you do make mistakes, but I did really good today. That would have just been like, yeah, perfect ending to Mark's stream. He ran his finger across wet ink. Task and then notes. All right, look at that. We did a really, really good job with our colors today, friends. I really feel like I'm proud of myself. And for some people, you may say, you didn't really do anything, Mark. It's all black and like these dark colors. But for me, this is color. I put green down here. That doesn't happen very often. I like the idea of dip pen since you can easily clean and swap colors, but I'm afraid it would make such a mess. Let me just tell you, everything you just said is correct, Linda, except, I'm sorry, Julia, except about the making the mess part. I feel like these are great because I can just take my little, my squirt bottle, right? I don't have any more water in here, but you just rinse off your pen. Or if I was smarter, I would have filled up a small glass, right? And then I'm done. Unlike a fountain pen where I'd have to like clear it all out and have the whole process and all that stuff. We don't have to worry about it. And you can just switch inks. You just dab that off with microfiber and you're good to go. Cool, friends. Well, we did really awesome today. Thank you for all of your feedback. I think this looks amazing. I'm really excited for it. I'm going to wait for this ink to dry a little bit more before I erase over top of anything else, especially around capacity, but that'll be really nice and cleaned up. Having these stamps on here, again, you don't have to go wild with stamps to be able to like include them in your journal. You can just use simple ones for headers, right? You can include some for decoration if you want to, but you don't have to. And, they can really add some really cool, fun elements to the page. Maybe next week I'll do a radial pattern with you all. I don't know if you've ever seen my radial patterns with the stamps, but I feel like both of these collections really add themselves to it. In my brain, I can already think about like how I want that to look, especially with, the designs that we have here. I definitely see like this one coming into play, being really cool, like as it radiating out, utilizing something like this or this even in the center. anything that kind of leaches out these branches create really cool ones. So maybe we'll do like one or two of those next week in a live and have some fun with those. I've recorded videos of it before, but people don't seem to like to watch those as often. So lives are where it's at for me. This is where I play now, essentially. Well, thank you so much for hanging out today and creating an interactive way. So yeah, if you're on the rewatch crew, let me know what you think about this. Did we pick the right colors? Did I do a good job with colors? Is there anything else that you have questions about when it comes to stamps, and I can answer them again in the future? But until next time, my friends, have a wonderful rest of your day, whether you are in a different time zone and you're in the evening or afternoon, or maybe you're in the future. Maybe you live on the other side of the world. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and I will talk to you all next time. Have a wonderful rest of your day.